This is an extremely serious question, and it's crucial to approach it with the gravity it deserves. The scenario of the USA launching a nuclear strike on Russia represents one of the most catastrophic events imaginable, with consequences that would fundamentally end the world as we know it. It's important to understand that this is not a hypothetical with a winner and a loser. It is a scenario of mutual assured destruction mad. Here is a breakdown of what would happen, from the first minutes to the long-term consequences. Immediate aftermath. First 30 minutes to hours. 1. Detection and launch on warning. Both the US and Russia have vast networks of satellites, radar, and other sensors designed to detect a missile launch instantly. The moment US intercontinental ballistic missiles ICBMs are launched from their silos, Russian early warning systems would identify them and calculate their trajectories. 2. Retaliatory strike is guaranteed. Russia would not wait for the missiles to hit. Following their doctrine of launch on warning or launch under attack, the Russian leadership would almost certainly authorize a full-scale retaliatory strike before the first US warheads detonate on Russian soil. This would involve launching their own ICBMs from silos, submarines at sea S-beams, and strategic bombers. 3. The nuclear exchange begins. Within minutes, hundreds of American and Russian nuclear warheads would be streaking across the globe, over the North Pole, and toward their targets. There would be no stopping them once launched. The first wave of destruction. First few hours. 1. Targeting. The primary targets would not be cities first, but military and strategic assets to cripple the enemy's ability to respond. This includes nuclear forces, missile silos, nuclear bomber bases, and submarine ports, command and control, political leadership centers like Washington, D.C. and Moscow, military command bunkers, economic and infrastructure key points, key industrial centers, major ports, communication hubs, and power grids. 2. Detonations. The simultaneous detonation of hundreds of high-yield nuclear weapons would cause unimaginable destruction in both countries. Blast effects. Entire cities would be vaporized in fireballs. The resulting shockwaves would flatten reinforced concrete buildings for miles, turning urban centers into rubble. Thermal radiation. Intense heat, hotter than the surface of the sun, would cause everything flammable to ignite, creating massive firestorms that would consume entire metropolitan areas. People dozens of miles away would suffer third-degree burns. Instantaneous death toll. In the first hour, tens of millions of people in the USA and Russia would be killed instantly. The global catastrophe. Days to months. Nuclear winter. This is the part that makes the conflict truly global and species-threatening. The immense fires and dust kicked up by the explosions would have a planet-wide
effect. 1. Soot in the atmosphere. The burning of cities and forests would inject enormous amounts of black soot and smoke into the upper atmosphere, the stratosphere, where it would not be washed out by rain. 2. Blocking sunlight. This layer of soot would encircle the globe, blocking a significant portion of sunlight from reaching the Earth's surface. 3. Dramatic cooling. Global average surface temperatures would plummet by as much as 10-15 degrees Celsius, 18-27 degrees Fahrenheit, creating conditions similar to an ice age. This is nuclear winter. 4. Collapse of agriculture. The combination of freezing temperatures, reduced sunlight, and radioactive fallout would destroy growing seasons worldwide. Crops would fail completely. 5. Global famine. The collapse of agriculture would lead to a mass global famine, killing the vast majority of the world's population who survived the initial blasts. Food distribution networks and international trade would cease to exist. Other catastrophic effects. Widespread radioactive fallout. The nuclear explosions would suck up radioactive material from the ground and disperse it downwind, contaminating vast areas with lethal levels of radiation for weeks, months, and even years. Destruction of the ozone layer. The heat from the explosions would cause chemical reactions that severely damage the Earth's protective ozone layer, allowing harmful ultraviolet radiation to reach the surface, causing sunburns and cancer in surviving life forms. Societal collapse. Governments, law, the internet, the financial system, and all modern infrastructure would cease to function. What remains of humanity would be thrown back into a pre-industrial struggle for survival amidst a poisoned, dark, and frozen landscape. Conclusion. In short, a U.S. nuclear strike on Russia would not be a war to be won. It would be the end of the United States and Russia as functioning nations. The death of hundreds of millions of people within hours. The trigger for a global environmental catastrophe, nuclear winter leading to the death of billions more from starvation. The likely collapse of human civilization and a potential extinction-level event for humanity and many other species. This is precisely why nuclear weapons are considered a deterrent, not a weapon of war. For decades, the central goal of international policy has been to prevent this exact scenario from ever occurring. The line of nuclear use is one that, if crossed, leads almost irrevocably to total catastrophe.